Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. Holy cow, that's loud. What's up on a Tuesday afternoon? I hope you're doing really well. I'm doing well because I just saw some art that was commissioned and committed to James Martin's most recent outreach. He does this conference, if you don't know. And that conference is called Outreach. It was a conference that ran from August the 2nd to August 4th for the fourth year in a row, or fourth year total. I think it's 4 out of 5. Pope Francis has sent a greeting letter to James Martin. So the same Pope Francis who would not grant an audience to Cardinal Mueller for months, to Cardinal Burke for months, to Bishop Strickland, all of the people he deems his enemies, he won't talk to them, he won't dialogue with them, he won't do anything. And these are his College of Cardinals, his cardinalate who are there for his counsel and his advising. When he has a problem with them, they won't hear from him until he demotes them, takes away their apartment like he did to Cardinal Burke. I think Cardinal Burke got it back. Cardinal Burke's been demoted a total of 3 times. Takes away the bishopric from Bishop Strickland. The same Pope Francis has now, for 4 years in a row, sent a greeting to James Martin SJ's outreach conference. He's an SJ. And he's such a naughty little pet. And I'll read you the greeting letter. Pope Francis, is really excited for the work that James Martin SJ is doing on behalf of the church. And what is that work, really? I mean, it's outreach to like Homo sapien, Skittles type people. And instead of being like, yo, come in the church, rap with us, or whatever boomers think would collocate a bunch of sinners in the church using fly late 1970s hepcat language, instead of just doing the normal sort of new evangelization thing that you guys know well. Come into the church, Jesus loves you. Now you do have to, they always leave it for the last delivery in the message, in the presentation. Now you do have to give up your sin. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know, Mark Twain said, if I cannot have my cigar in heaven, I shall not go. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with a cigar, Mr. Twain. But if you're not allowed it in heaven, then trust me, you want the heaven even without the cigar. Well, so James Martin and his outreach program does not do that. The outreach program, the ministry, care, whatever, minds the P's and Q's in some sense, the sense in which they don't just say, come into the church and keep it up with, laying sod grass down. Keep it up. You can lay as much sod grass down as you want, boys. He doesn't say it that outright. Outreach is not that outright, but it's almost there. It is not calling on the sinner to quit his sin the way Christ did. You always hear that from boomers, like Christ dined with tax collectors and prostitutes. Yeah, but his message was, hey, I came to dinner with you. If you want to be part of my crew, if you ever want to see me again, you quit the sin, you follow me. You become a fisher of men if you're, one of the anointed ones to be an apostle. If you just want to follow me, that's cool. But quit the sin. You don't get to get into heaven and have your cake and eat it too. That never comes. So I'm reading from Vatican News about this conference that took place from August the 2nd through August the 4th, really hosted by the Archbishop of D.C., Wilton Gregory. He loves stuff like outreach. Loves it. It was at Georgetown, so that's why it involved Wilton Gregory, Georgetown University. And it's a conference for LMNOPQ plus Catholics. On Vatican News, it also says, Father Martin, who carries out his apostolate among LMNOPQ community, wrote to the Pope asking if he would like to send his greetings to the conference. Pope Francis sent a brief response, which was released last Thursday, saying he was pleased by the fact that Cardinal Gregory would be celebrating Mass for them. This is what I call a double derivative endorsement. It's the second derivative. You know, it's two removals away from saying, well, I'm glad that Father Martin is basically encouraging you sinners to keep sinning. He just says, look, I'm glad that, and then a factual, like, I'm glad that you chose, like, cushions and cakes or whatever to provide the cupcakes at the event. Or I'm glad that you're having a Mass said by Cardinal Gregory. Or I'm glad that you chose finger foods this year instead of a pizza bar. That's always how Pope Francis, using the Jesuitical casuistry, chooses to endorse this. The Pope says he is united in prayer with those participating in the conference. So he's united in prayer, which you can always be with sinners. This is still casuistry. He said, may Jesus bless you and the Holy Virgin care for you. This is the fourth time that Pope Francis has sent his regards to an outreach event. On other occasions, the Pope has invited the Jesuit priest, whom he has named a consultor of the Dicastery of Communication, to transmit God's style of closeness, mercy, and affection to the LMNOPQ plus community. So he's close with Father Martin. He approves of his work. In other years, he's approved it in rather glowing terms. And insofar as Father Martin outright will interpret papal documents, you have what's like considered neuronal crosstalk. Pope James Martin will, in an outright way, interpret Pope Francis' papal documents, such as Fiducia Supplicans, in a counter orthodox way, explicitly. So Martin will use Francis's work counter orthodoxly, if that's an adverb. He'll say, hey, Fiducia Supplicans means what you think it means, and this is great. And Francis will do the same thing. Neuronal crosstalk. Francis will use James Martin's work and outright endorse it. But Francis never says, yeah, Fiducia Supplicans means we're blessing SS unions. He lets his neuronal crosstalkers, the lefts in the church, Father Martin, SJ, do it. And same thing, Father Martin never says, look, I run this outreach program. It's basically a lavender club. It's basically a hookup joint, right? Tinder for lavender Catholic men. He just says, no, look, well, I'm allowed to dine with sinners. He never says, I'm telling them they must quit the lifestyle. Of course, because he's not saying that to them. He's definitely 100% not. But Francis will outright endorse James Martin's pro-lavender work. James Martin will endorse Francis's pro-lavender work. This is how Jesuit casuistry works. All right, so you guys know that. I want to talk about this art. Steph, what did you title the art today? Gross art for weirdos? So at the James, I presume it's commissioned for the James Martin event. Gross art for weirdos. Can we picture that on the screen? First, I want to let you guys know what's up. Okay. Number one, we are finishing Leave and Cleave, my fifth book, author to co-authored, Steph's second, author to co-authored. We're writing it together. It's a work of love. It is the absolute work that is going to rock the church next. Steph's, originally published on Tan Books, then had to be published on self-publish. Ask Your Husband is the hers version of my book, Case for Patriarchy. In those two books, we just prove the theoretical case for patriarchy, which is why my book is called The Case for Patriarchy. We don't show you how it works in a household. And everyone will say, oh, you and Steph seem really close. Yeah, we are. We really don't have a life outside of each other, right? We have no life. We have no lives outside of each other. I like to play basketball, but I usually Steph will come watch me. Steph likes to go to Hobby Lobby and like make little like crafts of small woodland creatures, because she has a Beatrix Potter, not fetish, that would be weird, a Beatrix Potter fixation, I'll usually drive her and sometimes walk through the islands of Hobby Lobby with her. But sometimes I stay in the car. But we're usually kind of there for each other's thing. But we have no lives outside of each other. And it turns out that's really central to how patriarchy works. You actually have to like each other. This new book, which we hope to have available to you for the September 11th first class of the One Flesh class. This new book shows you how to apply the patriarchy to your life in 9 chapters. The class is 9 lessons, coincidentally, based on those 9 chapters. And all we're doing is showing you not that the patriarchy is real, because we dragged the trad Catholic and even just the secular conservative world kicking and screaming back into the goodness, the chewy, chocolatey goodness of patriarchy. It's got vanilla goodness besides, if you're going to make it a race thing. And now everyone's like pretty much there. I mean, it's still kind of controversial, but it's no longer something you can't say. Oh, I love the patriarchy. So everyone's hip with it. Well, guess what? Now that everyone's hip with it, you got goofballs, men and women, trying to do it, and they're LARPing it up, live action role playing it up. And it's like, no, you should really like each other. You should be fit. You should be close. You should be normal in all the good ways. We always say, don't be a weirdo, but don't be a normie. So we just learned after, I don't know how many dozens and scores of emails saying, you guys need to show how this works. Our friend Jordan really is the one that was like, you need to do a class based on this one show you did about a year ago. And so we did that. And then we, or our friend Jordan, might have said, and you should also do a book. And you don't have to take the class for the book or the book for the class. But here's the point. This week, we're sending it off to typesetting. Now, the very end of the week, because I am a big procrastinator, we will be sending to Archangel Press the typeset manuscript, or the manuscript for typesetting, on like Sunday night at 11:59. So it'll be typeset, and it can get to you, hopefully, for that first September the 11th class, the accompanying class. You can buy both now. The Leave and Cleave book, it's called 9 Marriage Prep Secrets, Once Taught, Now Censored. For the One Flesh class, it's kind of the textbook, but you don't have to take the book for the class or the class for the book, but you should do both. That's how you support this apostolate if you don't want to just be a monthly financial supporter. How do you become a monthly financial supporter? You can do it on becoming a YouTube subscriber. What's up, Jim Pine? I think our newest YouTube subscriber. Zoo Bear, I called him 200 Bear. Sorry, 200 Bear. Or really, we do locals and Subscribe Star connected to this video. You should become a locals or Subscribe Star supporter today. We have a Lord of the Rings club. You get weekly updates from me on the weekends or early Monday morning. Behind the scenes, behind my house. We do a Lord of the Rings reading group on Wednesdays. There's a lot of stuff. You can get free stuff. I give you big news first. I tell you inside track stuff. And there are different levels. It works just like Patreon, except it's not flaming. And Patreon, remember, kicked me off because I'm stick to my guns. That's not a threat. It's not a gun reference. It's an idiom. I stick to my guns. And for that, I was banished from Patreon, lost some monthly money. And I've lost some monthly money before. I've been fired from jobs for sticking to my guns. I've lost associations, even on the interweb for sticking to my guns. But it's what you do. So if you want to support me, local Subscribe Star now. If you want to just donate to me, the man, for my family, which a lot of people also do write about, you can do that on DonorBox. That's also on, just click donate on timothyjgordon.com. Or you can send it to our P.O. box, which is also on named on timothyjgordon.com. But that's donation. When we talk locals and Subscribe Star, that ain't donation. Also, go to realestateforlife.org and get out of your blue state, get to a red state before, I say today. It doesn't really matter if it's today, as long as it's before the election. You're going to be good. Do it nowish. It's not as good as today, but people don't really listen when you say that. Okay, so Oh, the accompanying art, the gross art for weirdos. That was, here, I want to be looking at it up close on my phone so we can laugh together. Let's enjoy. People used to gather around and enjoy a good smoke together of the peace pipe or whatever. Let's just enjoy a laugh at this gross art for weirdos at James Martin Skittles event is what we should call it. Now you've got Jesus in a hoodie and jeans and hanging out barefoot. And half beard, and he really looks quite black, if I'm being fully honest. Then there's a couple of mans sitting together holding hands, mans holding hands. And there are a couple of womans also sitting nearby holding hands, and they are just every color but the white, right? I mean, are you looking at this stuff?
The freak in the mohawk is white.
The freak in the mohawk with the triangle shirt?
Yeah.
You should get your mic, Steffi. Get your mic. Let's get Steph on the mic. She, obviously, people know Steph's style now. She's the one that titled this gross art for weirdos at James Martin event. We don't know how this plays with, if this heightens views or diminishes views or keeps views the same. We again, this is our thing. We're like, we like it. We hope other people like it too. Get a laugh. It's gross art for weirdos. You might as, if you don't laugh, you cry. Thank you, Steffi. Pump up the jam and join this.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to work out the mic.
I'm going to turn you up on the top a bit.
Hopefully I have the picture on the screen. Yeah. Gross art for weirdos.
So, I mean, look, this is what you respond to this. Like, I'll run this like an interview. Jesuit casuistry. So Pope Francis will never say fiducia supplicans means what you think it means. He leaves it to James Martin, who said all kinds of funny business and started blessing all kinds of funny papers people, Skittles people, like the day after fellatio supplicans came out, or fiducia supplicans. And so Francis relies on his lieutenants to interpret properly his documents, just like he did with Amoris Laetitia. And his lieutenants rely on Francis to properly interpret their heterodox documents. Isn't it pretty smart how that works? The art also plays a role in that casuistry, because the art's like, clearly, this is Jesus. No, I mean, I don't even want to say it, but this is Jesus hanging out with a couple of weirdos. Triangle-loving people. Oh, and the Pope is kissing Jesus's feet, and it's all meant to be weird for weirdos.
Yeah, they're all just hanging out. You know, they're all just lounging. Jesus in the pictures, just in jeans, just chilling with his presumably his buddies, his weird buddies.
Yeah.
There's like a weird, like, I don't know, tie-dye background. It's just sad when people spend so much time creating such crap.
Right.
It's, you know, how much time did this guy spend making this just gross art for weirdos? Like,
yeah.
And only weirdos celebrate this sort of thing and like look at it and say it's beautiful. All of us, anybody who has an objective eye, which beauty is not in the eye of the beholder, it's pretty objective what's beautiful and what's not.
Of course.
Most people look at this and they're like, that sucks. I hate it. It's just
that's
it's
shit.
like the boomer Catholic like Karens in the church that have to pretend to like it because nobody actually likes it.
I don't know if and Karen's is a racist term, by the way. Someone pointed that out to me. I was like, we should not be anti-racist, but we'll still say it anyway because we basically
it makes fun of women. I like
if
that.
it makes fun of women, and even racist terms. I mean, we can't say them on YouTube, but obviously we're not anti. So someone was like, Tim, Karen is a racist term against whites. I'm like, but I support all forms of racism. So yeah, I'm not going to pretend to dislike it now. I'm like, I mean, that's fine. It's fine to be anti-white as well. You should just be anti kind of every race. And of course, I like race.
Jokes of every size, shape, and color.
Sure.
It's how it goes.
But we like white. But the point is, I don't even know if the Karens like it. Or whatever you want to call them.
That's what I'm saying. None of them like it. Nobody, look at this piece of garbage. Nobody could possibly like it. I bet you the guy that even did it himself was just like, okay, I have to do something that's going to raise eyebrows within the trad community. I'm just going to slop this piece of crap out and just see what everybody says. I'm sure the artist himself knows this is just terrible, terrible art. Nobody actually enjoys this. It's just those of us, the simple-minded among us, that have to pretend to like it just because it's clearly giving a political message about Jesus Christ and the people he, I guess, would have hung out with if he was living in the ungodly time of 2024.
Yeah, or like, I mean, I'm not saying Jesus wouldn't have tried stopping by like Haight and Ashbury and bringing the message. But remember what he said. If you bring the gospel to a town and they won't hear you, like kick the dust from your sandals and go to the next town. Jesus is not going to be stopping. And he's also sitting cross-legged like a girl, which we always said is sort of like a good surrogate for gaydar. And I mean, that's not, Jesus wouldn't sit like that. He wouldn't sit like a girl, especially not if he's hanging out with a couple of like Skittles couples. And if Jesus went by Haight and Ashbury, he would be like, let's bring the message and then, you know, kick the dust from my sandal. Maybe I get one person out of the whole town of San Francisco. And then after this, you know, we're firebombing this place. You know, that's...
Yeah, it's Jesus of the Bible of turning over tables and fashioning weapons in real time. I mean, that's how mad he was during the money changers, mind you. Like, he fashioned a weapon. He got angry, and he was, like, looking for the nearest, like, materials to make a weapon, to start, like, assaulting people, to get them out of the temple. Like, that, you can't tell me that wouldn't be what would be happening at Haight and Ashbury.
Yeah, he wouldn't be, like, stopping to hang out with them for very long. It would be... Hey, you guys are gross. Why don't you try to I mean, this is the real gospel. Eliminate sin from your lives. You can't go back in time, so you can't do the past ones, but be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. And even if you screw up in the future, here's the gift of confession and the graces of confession together with the Eucharist. You can make it. At least start eliminating mortal sin from your lives, and no one, you know, you're going to have venial sins still.
Another thing that people might not have noticed in the artwork that just occurred to me that, you know, traditionally the halo is on Jesus, right? He, like, we see the rays of light emanating from the crown of Jesus. And in this picture, in this garbage heap, we have, an insinuation of glow around this hipster Jesus, but the halo and the light actually is coming from the Skittles woman couple that is sitting beside Jesus.
Is it really? Can I see that a little clearer?
Look at the
I see
halo.
that.
Look at the light. It's like between the interracial, like, women's couple. I don't know what to say because of YouTube.
The carpet lovers.
Yes, they are. It's just leftists and liberals, and I guess this is done by a priest. It's so, like, It kind of annoys me to respond to this stuff, because it's almost like a bully, like, coming in and, you know, stealing your backpack and then waiting for you to respond. It's like they know it's gonna happen, and it's so stupid. It's just better to make fun of it. Like, it's not even drawn well. It's so stupid and just, like, childish. It's a childish rendition of what even a leftist thinks of Jesus. It's embarrassing to look at. Yeah, I kind of hate responding to it too. But I thought we could make some joke. Yeah. But it's not even really an occasion for the launching of jokes, because it's so obvious. But that is interesting about the halo. Now, it's interesting that the halo is over the carpet-loving ladies, because remember, in between Synod 23 and Synod 24, which is right around the corner in October, I told you they're going to be making this non-sacramental deaconette announcement, and that thing is due. That thing is due in probably September, but there's only 2 more months before the Synod. Synod begins in early October. They are going to be extolling ladies to the point that the ladies are non-sacramental deacons, and they really will act like sacramental deacons. But yeah, the halo is absolutely over these 2 ladies. That's a good catch. And it's a weird sun. That is so odd. That is so, I mean, that's not that secret. That's not that esoteric. I'm looking at it again right now. Yeah, it's almost like the artist, like, made just a list of the most odious visual images that he could think of for true Catholics. And he's like, let's just throw them all in there. Like, let's just make Jesus look an ethnicity that he's not. Let's just put in all sorts of weirdos. We've got a mohawk. We've got everybody's just like kind of lounging around in their jeans, just hanging, just chilling. You know, we have turbans. There's just all sorts of just random stuff.
There's like, how many different, wait, can you put it back on that?
Yeah.
There's so many shades of brown. Like when I'm looking at the skin of all the people, Francis is like the whitest person, and he's not actually South American. He's full-blooded Italian, but they have an olive complexion. He is by far like he and I guess the Mohawk freak with the triangle shirt are the whitest ones. Everyone else, Jesus looks black. Jesus looks like a Rastafarian, and he looks like he could play Bob Marley in some reboot.
And he's on the same level as everybody too.
He is on the same. Like, no, the black or whatever she is, like really dark chocolate colored woman. I'm just saying, I can't see if it's like a super dark Indian or super dark black, but like a dark, deep, delicious looking hue of chocolate with the turban. The woman, she's the highest. And this is what I'm talking about. They remember their big game is the woman stuff. Then there's a little Chinese lady that is her lover.
Yeah.
They're lovers.
It appears so. Yeah.
Is she Chinese?
Yeah.
I'm looking in the mask area.
Yeah.
Then there's a black man. There's just so little whiteness in this picture, and it's funny because it's the artist is a white. I would bet.
Oh, I'm sure it's a priest. I'm sure
his name is
a boomer priest who is just yeah. I mean, I know if you want artwork, I can think of in my mind right now. He's probably white. I have not seen a picture of this guy. I have no idea what he looks like.
Can you throw up our Twitter while you're saying that?
Yeah, he probably is
My phone
glasses wearer, probably balding, overweight, white, boomer priest. Like, let's see.
And he is watching.
Let's double check.
He's watching the encore events of men's volleyball at the Olympia.
Oh, he is a priest. He's a priest. Okay. His name is William McNichols. Okay, let me just for fun.
Oh yeah, William McNichols.
Okay, let's look.
He's big time. I know what he even
That's
looks
what
like.
he looks like. Oh no, let's see. If it's a priest, I'm gonna look.
No glasses.
Oh, he has glasses. He has glasses. He does have glasses. Oh, he's got like
Let's see some more of his art.
Yeah.
Can we feature?
He's white. He's a priest. He does have glasses. I was right about that.
He looks like
not overweight though.
He's not a what?
No, he's not overweight. He looks very fitting trim. William McNichols.
Yeah, he looks like Dr.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Like, it's not even drawn well. Like, what he's going for, he's trying to be like scandalous with like the precepts and the truth of the church, and it's just like my 12-year-old could have drawn that. Like, of course she would never because she's a Catholic. She believes in God, but like she could have drawn this better.
Is it drawings or paintings, actually? Sorry to sound like a gay arty person.
Like, it looks almost like he photoshopped his drawing over what once was just like a picture of clouds. Someone's calling us now. Could it be William McNichols?
William? Oh, where is that? Whose phone is ringing? Yeah, believe it or not, to our chagrin and to our shame publicly, we do have a landline. You heard that correct. Is it Father McNichols?
I think it's our veterinarian.
Okay. We need to shave our old English sheepdog.
Our dog, I think the veterinarian was returning our call. Our old English sheepdog.
We need to shave Father McNichols. He looks like he needs a bald head. So look at the rich hue of the like melanin in his paintings of non-whites. Yeah. No, I mean it's a very beautiful color of go down a second.
Just a second.
Yeah. So I mean, here's the thing.
It's horrible.
I think the halo is placed over the woman because we're in the middle of the kind of deification of the feminine in the run up to the October event, the Synod on Synodality of Synodalism, synodalistically, part 8 or whatever we're at. And I'm sticking to this. People have asked me, are you, yes, I'm sticking to it. They will make non-sacramental women deacons, deaconettes. I've been very time specific, which further, stipulates the specificity of the prediction, I don't think they're waiting until the first day of the synod to do this thing. I think they will, sometime in August or September, make the big move that has been considered the second move that the Sankt Gallen Mafia emplaced Francis into the See of Peter to make. He made the first big move, and that's his only really big move. Everyone else gets twisted off about fiducia supplicans and traditionis custodes. Of course, I didn't like traditionis custodes or fiducia supplicans, or all these statements, 11 interviews with Eugenio Scalfari. But the only thing that really can't be taken back, at least as per Francis, is Amoris Laetitia. And that was according to, you've heard me say it many times, Cardinal Brandmuller. That was supposed to be the first big move that the mafia put him there to make, the gambit. And the second move is women deacons. And it never had to be sacramental in the first place. And I told you before, Cardinals Gresh and Hollerich were admitting what they were going to do about 4 or 5 months ago, non-sacramental deaconettes, that this was what they do. I said it a couple days before last synod opened. So we're still waiting for that. And so the deification of the feminine, glorification of the feminine, the fact that the halo is not over Jesus, but over these ladies who are so enthusiastic about one another, this tells you that, this is where we're going. There's always a lot of make a mess kind of chatter in the church of Francis. And that's really what he wants to do. He wants to make a mess, hog on Leo or whatever. Do I have that? I think he says, yeah, here it is. Let me play this.
Pero quiero lío en las diócesis. Quiero que se salga afuera.
Yeah, so that's where he says it. I want that you make a mess.
Quiero lío en las diócesis. Quiero que se salga afuera.
So that's him. When they asked him, well, what do you want us to do? What do you want for the church? I want you to make a mess of it. I don't understand. I fundamentally don't understand folks that continue to defend Francis because he's indefensible. And I mean, even when you go back and you're like looking at things he said from the first year, like, hey, I want to make a mess of, Christ's church. That's not something a holy man says, like, Steph is such a good caretaker of our home, keeps it lovely, lets the kids have fun, and they make a mess, and then she'll clean it up and, make them clean it up. Well, who just says, I want you guys to make a mess? I want you to spill grape soda on the floor. I want you to hurl turds around the bathroom. That's just not something that someone that cares about something else says. It's just not it. And so we don't have to play 12D chess to acknowledge that from the very outset, Francis has told us who he is and what he wants to do. And he wants to make a mess, and he wants us to make a mess, and everything he's done is subserved that end. I will say one thing about my second to last show. When I had Patrick Coffin on, as you can imagine, a lot of Coffin fans that overlap with being retrogrades. That makes a lot of sense. But he's a full-on Benedictinian. I'm not. And so I get some questions, and people know, it's not really going to change my course. I'm going to say what I think is true. And if people don't like it, then they can agree with me, and we don't have to stop being friends over it. It's just I'm going to tell you my best conception of the truth. I don't think there's a couple people in particular that get upset, and they're like, oh, you keep having Ed Moz on, you keep having Pat Coffin on, they're Benedictinians. With all of this art, all of this skullduggery of Francis, I'm not going to play the game where I just do 400 Francis's really up to some funny business shows and then not put the bow on it with the conclusory thought. I'm not going to not do. Now, I'm not saying he has to be a Benedictinian. I'm saying I think that's a non-crackpot theory that I don't favor. It's not the one that I think is technically most likely, but it's definitely not a crackpot theory the way that certain of you guys, parish orphans and retrogrades, whom I love, certain of you want me to regard it as if it's a crackpot theory. I don't think it is. I've never said I think it's out of the realm of possibility. I don't think it's in the realm of mere conceptual possibility. I think the most likely possibility is we've learned with Pope number 266 that yes, he's Pope, but popes can be not just bad, they can be really bad, and even usurpers and subverters. And the kind of a new level of papal minimalism. Papal minimalism has been realized. And I think that's really what it is all along. I defended this view when I debated Trent Horn 5 years ago. I'm like, doctrine can't really evolve or whatever he said, progress organically. I mean, it can only do so if, we're talking about something that gets more specific through time, like the ethical uses of technology. Well, they couldn't talk about a smartphone 2,000 years ago, but none of the propositions can really progress at all. So I don't really believe in reformability that way. And the only corollary that squares with that view, that really doctrine can't change, which a lot of trads hold, is really robust papal minimalism. Popes really aren't there to do anything but be placeholders and to guard the doctrine and make sure it doesn't change. They're not allowed to help the doctrine to change at all. I know. My hair's wacky.
I'm looking at the William McNichol's site, and he offers generously some of his prints on yoga mats. So
on yoga mats. That is just the pretty picture. I mean, that's perfect. These guys do it to themselves. But so I wanted to give that little word of clarification that, like, yes, I'm not scared to admit that if I have on maza or coffin, it's not because I think that, well, technically there's a 1 in a million chance they're right, or a 1 in 20 chance they're right. Like maybe the sedevacantists, maybe you say there's a 1 in 25 chance they're right. There's no way to really, aside from living through history, figure out. But I don't think sedevacantists from like 1958 onward are correct. I can't say no, they're wrong though, because we've had things like the Avignon papacy and what followed the Avignon papacy, the Great Western Schism, directly, causally. So, but think about it this way: before the Avignon papacy, there had been no Avignon papacy. Now we at least have 1 or 2 forerunners to. Yeah, unexpected stuff can happen, and it doesn't mean that the Lord is letting the church like evaporate or something. That's not what it means. Just, it's been 2,000 years since Jesus walked the earth, and unexpected stuff does happen from time to time. So I'm not hiding behind, theoretical possibilities with regard to Coffin or Mazo. Why they are friends of the show. They do come on often. They present interesting theories. I do think, as I told Coffin, I don't know why he doesn't lean more into the St. Gallen Mafia theory. I don't think the Pope Francis playing like 9D chess with the resignation, I don't think that's compelling. I've never found it compelling. It would be really foolish if Francis had done that. And it's not going to get turned over. The Cardinals will not turn that over. The St. Gallen Mafia thing has legs. That could be the answer to all the riddles with regard to why is Francis so bad? He's best friends with James Martin. They're doing, openly Skittles art and depicting our Lord in horrible, blasphemous ways, in Skittles ways. But it's just, we're just used to it now. You boil a frog in water slowly. I think the solution could be cleaner than papal minimalism. It could be maybe Coffin and Maza are right. I just don't know, and I'm still, it's kind of a minority view, less than 50%. So I'll still, that's where I'm at. So just so you guys understand, like, I'm not playing a game here. I've admitted pretty clearly, like, yeah, I don't. Look, if you tell me there's a 40% chance it's going to rain here tomorrow in South Mississippi, that always means like 90%, by the way. But yeah, I'm not going to be shocked if that 40% eventuates. Same pace Francis. Like if he dies and then is declared an anti-pope, they have a what's it called? The cadaver synod. And the next pope like condemns him. Like, that, not only would that be based and vindicating and, you know, a lot of schadenfreude.
I mean, those were the days where, like, you accuse somebody and you dig up their bones and put them on trial.
And, like, throw tomatoes at their corpse.
That's the height of pettiness. Like, I am good. I'm trying this. Corpse.
I'm there for it.
Let's get him out of his grave.
Yeah. Dig up those bones. And we're not saying, look, we're not saying that's going to happen to this holy pontiff. I'm not even saying it necessarily should. I'm just saying if it did, I wouldn't be utterly shocked. I'd be shocked because I don't think anyone nowadays is based enough to do that. But you get the point. Like, if you say there's a 40% chance anything's going to happen and then it happens, no one's surprised. That's why I've put myself there and say, hey, here's where I'm at. I do not think Coffin and Moz are like way off. Sometimes you're 90% sure something's going to happen and it doesn't happen. That's fine. I mean, things are binary. The light switch is either off or on. You cut it on, you cut it off. Can't be both. We're going to find out later in our lives, or maybe not. Maybe our Lord will have to tell us up in heaven, what was the deal with Bergoglio, Pope Francis? I mean, that was so obviously wrong. Is it papal minimalism? And you just have some real, you know, doozies for Pope, or anti-Pope, you know.
Just looking on the website still, the William
McNichols.
Hart McNichols, and he has a passion. It's called The Passion of Matthew Shepard. So this is what we're dealing with. And looking at the comments, there's, I think, 25 comments that I can see, and like out of those, they're all women. They're like maybe one dude.
Yeah.
It's just women. It's just these some of these elderly Catholics, women who are, I think, propagating this sort of thing.
Yeah, when we say like boomers are the worst, the cool boomers are like, no, they are. That doesn't mean 100%. Like, we've come a long way in terms of baseness the last 5 years, where people are returning to saying beautiful words that rhyme. It kind of sound like haggis. You know, we're bringing back all kinds of beauties from the 90s. Words like that. And, you know, people are now really comfortable making kind of race humor again. That's really healthy and really, really Christian and pro-Western civilization. But there's still based work to be done. And we need it's going to happen. Biosolution. The more that the boomers are aging out of the church, you know, doesn't mean all boomers are evil. It just means that if you're a good boomer, you know you're from an evil generation. And they just thought, like, you know, contraception's not evil or abortion, but like racism is. It's like, that's just, you guys have it so backwards.
And you talk to most minorities, like, you know, like, I'll speak for myself as a Mexican. Like, yeah, like those jokes are hilarious.
Half Mexican. I'm sensitive about this.
I find Mexican jokes,
just joking,
as a Latinx, speaking as a Latinx,
half
hilarious.
Latinx.
I love them. I love those jokes so very much.
Well, the joke is that you really are half Latinx, but I always have to. We like set this up. I have to correct it every time. See, there's I mean, if you guys,
great joke. I love that joke.
There's still a tweet I want to do. It's very edgy. It involves the use-mention distinction, which is a philosophy of language distinction that's supposed to be very technical. Like, kids can say, like, "Oh, mommy," like, I heard the TV say, like, "fuck." Like, I didn't use the term. I just mentioned it. I'm not referring to the quantitative essence of the term the way I would be if I used the term. I just mentioned the term. It's like a shell.
Oh, you're saying that, like, it doesn't count, like, as a sin or like a detraction against your character if you're quoting somebody else saying that, you use the actual
If you're
word?
mentioning a term,
okay,
then everyone knows this, right? Which is why, like, our 6 or 9-year-olds are always like, "Oh, we heard the TV say this. That's bad, huh?" We're like, "Yeah, I know. You're just trying to say the term." And yes, it is fun to say those words, but you're still not allowed to use them. Can you mention them? Sure. It's a real distinction. It holds up in the philosophy of language. Well, there's one word in the English language that even anti-censorship people act like, well, the use mentioned distinction breaks down. And that, people know what that word is. And so I want to do a poll on Twitter. I just have to be prepared to be kicked off yet another social media.
Like,
Does use mentioned distinction apply to the word naughty or nice? Never does it apply. I mean, I'm really curious. And just the joke is, if you say, does use mentioned distinction apply to it? And then you don't say like the blank word, like with its first letter, you say the word, you're shoving use mentioned distinction in people's faces. So it's a kind of ipse dixit humor for the bold and the intellectuals, I like to say. Other people just think I'm a douche. But I mean, come on, that's what Twitter is here for, and you know it.
Not entirely unrelated. I love your the tweet you did over Christmas where you.
I think it'll bring up the algos. The tweet.
Have I mentioned it?
Yeah, Twitter's a less dangerous place than YouTube. Yeah, where I talked about my favorite stingy people.
Look up the word here. I'm gonna give you the definition here.
It's a Tuesday afternoon. We're just hanging out.
We're just chilling. Okay, if you go to the website.
One website.
It has the word in the definition, so I can't say it.
No, it means stingy.
Okay, but there's a hilarious word.
Like Ebenezer Scrooge is everyone's favorite Christmas.
In a stingy or meager manner. And Tim had like a funny Christmas tweet where he said, "What is your favorite Christmas?" and then blank. Like he put the word in, and people didn't understand what he was saying, and then other people who did understand, like this is a word for stingy or meager.
It was a contest between the Grinch and Ebenezer Scrooge.
It was a contest between, yeah.
Who is the bigger, more?
Can we not say it?
Yeah. I mean, we kind of have to because we're talking about censorship.
Okay.
The point is, hey Steph, give an update on the book. We can end the stream. How do you feel about Leave and Cleave is so good.
I really am excited about this book. A lot of people might be like, Leave and Cleave, they might be like, oh, why buy that one when we have Ask Your Husband or Case for Patriarchy? Because we got some good feedback from both those books, and people were saying that they needed more applicable advice for applying to the couple, like how the couple relates to each other. It's one thing for each spouse, like with Case for Patriarchy, for guys to read that and they kind of take the advice as a dude. And then for my book, they took advice, those that wanted to take my advice for how to behave yourself as a wife who isn't going to be a pain in the neck to your husband. But this book is good because we're talking specifically to the couple, and we end each chapter with things that you guys actually talk to each other about, have like in-depth questions and where you can improve, what's good, what's not on specific topics.
It's just so specific.
Oh yeah.
It's literally like the 9 things you need to be a really happy couple. People look at us and they're like, you guys are clearly happy with each other. Neither of you is perfect, but you're very, very happy. You get along, you have a good time, and the kids are happy, and things are working through the grace of God. Or like, look, here are the 9 things you need to be like a trad couple. You don't have to look or act the part aside from, keeping the natural law and the new law of the new covenant. But I mean, like, that doesn't really touch the kinds of things that people judge you based on, like whether or not, I don't know, you do a podcast in a tank top. Like, it doesn't matter. Or whatever, you make jokes about Ebenezer Scrooge versus the Grinch. So there are 9 lessons, and they're specific stuff that other Catholics don't want to touch because, like, well, that might be true, but then it's my name on print. What?
I'm just wondering if I should just give people a word of the day.
You give them that adverb. Give them the adverb because it's less So the word is niggardly, and it's one of my favorite words in the English language.
And again, not offensive at all because it just means stingy or in a meager manner on dictionary, Oxford language.
So Ebenezer Scrooge was extremely niggardly.
Yeah.
The Grinch. arguably more niggardly, though we could get, it's an academic discussion at that point.
Okay, but
Who's
if we're talking-
niggardlier?
If we're talking that, yeah, and then also let us not forget in the among the ranks, though he did turn it around on Christmas Vacation, was the boss who did not give he gave the Jelly of the Month Club. Very, very niggardly.
Yeah, well, extremely.
But then he turned it around.
Well, all of the three Christmas niggards, which is what they are, they all turned it around, or they wouldn't be Christmas stories.
Yeah, they were not so stingy after all.
Yeah, the Grinch became opposite of niggardly.
Yeah.
Ebenezer Scrooge, do you even want to get into how good that man was to Tiny Tim?
Oh, I know. He was not. Yeah, he was not.
Mr. Shirley,
Very generous.
Frank Shirley, who is Clark W. Griswold's boss on Christmas Story. Why are we talking about this right now?
I have no idea.
Frank Shirley turned it around.
Extreme.
He probably, if I had to make a guess, he remained the niggardliest of all of those three famous Christmas niggards.
We're getting a strike for this. There's no doubt in my mind.
You can't not. No, I mean, they can't.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, those are the three. And my favorite is Scrooge.
Okay. In our defense, bad art just gets us, like, we get thrown
Get
off.
loopy.
When I look at bad art, I just get, like, just disrespectful.
It's been a very unfocused show, but people say they want to see more lack of focus out of us. So the 9 lessons that we talk about with people are: first one, you have to be your own island. Secondly, second and third, there are 2 quick bond glues that should not be shied away from. They're sex together and fun together, and these things should not be considered anathema to healthy marriages. These things they're your 2 quick bond glues. You should have lots of both of those together. And in the first chapter, really, you have to embrace being you versus the world, like a marital island. We show you how to do that. Same thing with chapter 2. Same thing with chapter 3. In 4 and 5, we're really addressing the most conceptual stuff. Proper manhood is proper priest, prophet, king. Proper womanhood is just being receptive to priest, prophet, king. That's kind of a quick redox of our theoretical books, Case for Patriarchy and Ask Your Husband. Chapter 6, 7, 8, 9. Then we get into things like templates for literally recitals for how to get out of your biggest argument of the year. Things you recite. It works. We started using it between us a while ago, and it works. And you do it the day of the fight, the day after the fight, 3 days after the fight, 5 days after the fight. It really works, and you're solidifying the lengthening of the marital spat cycle. Because this is a cycle. You get in your biggest fight of the year, let's say. The day after the fight, once you get it together, you require no patience. You're so intimate. You're so close. That starts getting less automatic with each passing day. We show you how to keep that cycle lengthening. So you just fight less. And the auto drive period keeps going. It's very specific stuff that we kind of figured out and worked through. Number 8, we give very specific child rearing tips. Particularly, we just give away basically our homeschool non-curriculum curricula. And then it's all about not bad mouthing and putting each other first. They're just very specific tips. You will be instantiating patriarchy with this book. We hope to have that out by September the 11th, which means we have to go right now, which is probably why we're so goofy. We've been writing like just hour upon hour each week to get this thing ready.
Too late and you just start laughing for no reason. That's probably that probably explains this stream right now.
Well, I'm the bad art, and just if you don't laugh, you cry at the state of the church in the world. But we love you guys, parish orphans and retrogrades. Do support the channel. We always can use support. Don't be fooled by the fact that people are like in your ear at your church, like Tim and Steph are so based. They're the coolest ever. Don't think we're on the cutting edge of the Catholic world. We always need your support. So if you want to become supporter, it's locals and Patreon. If you want to give a donation, we're always on the cutting edge. Don't be fooled just because I dress to impress and I look like $1 million every show. It looks like I'm wearing an Armani suit or something. Don't be fooled by that. We are very down to grow the locals and subscribe star support. We love our locals and subscribe star supporters. It's a kind of intimate community. People contact me one-on-one about lots of stuff. Do that. God bless you all. We love you guys. goofiness abounded today. I think that's good. If you don't laugh, you cry. Day is full.